Hey guys, it's Nova here. I had some questions in my last video on comments of how do I build certain characters. Now, I think this is kind of uh, a good question that a lot of people have is how do I choose what gear, what masteries, what to put on a character, what I'm going to use them for. So go through my characters and check out my mastery guide for the masteries. There's certain sort of cookie cutter mastery builds you would use depending on what situation you want to use the character for. Um, and yeah, I'll kind of go through specifically. Someone mentioned Sir Nicholas and Tayrel. I'll kind of go through a couple of the characters and how I'd use them briefly. It should make sense. So Arbiter is going to be my arena speed boost team. I have a very attack heavy cleave fast team, and I currently use Seeker with all speed gear. So I'll move this out of the way here. See, my Seeker has 273 speed. Obviously, there's people with higher speed than that. I looked for speed pieces specifically with high speed rolls, and you can see I still have 3 speed pieces here that are rare. So they have decent rolls, 14. But could definitely get higher if they were epic pieces with a 3 roll, for example. I even have a 4-star piece. Just because. Oh, and I also ideally wanted defense and HP stats. I wanted to make my Seeker somewhat tanky. He was never going to be a high damage hero. So I was just looking for fast and as tanky as I could make him. For our masteries, I don't have him all the way, but I do have him with War Master. I actually use Seeker in my clan boss team, interestingly enough, but I ended up getting Evil Eye because I use him as the first. Well, he gets to attack first in most arena matches, and any additional turn meter that I can get is totally worth it. Also, because I want as much speed as possible, you kind of want the speed bonus set. So, in other abilities, there's chance of placing debuffs. I would probably go for that because of his provoke ability, and that doesn't work for provoke, so I'm not sure what else I would get with him. I mean, maybe that, but that's since he's going first in arena. Ideally, would never use that, and I don't know, maybe that one. I don't know. That would be my Speed Seeker build. It's actually going to be very similar to the build I'm going to use for Arbiter. In fact, pretty much identical. Arbiter has a weakened debuff, so I would definitely go all the way down and get this one. Most of our attacks are 1 or 2 hits, so I would go with War Master on Arbiter. So pretty much identical, I think, in terms of the build I will use for Arbiter and Seeker. Sort of a hybrid arena slash PvE type build for a very fast speed hero. A character like Apothecary would probably be geared a little bit differently. Similar purpose, but Gore Grab could probably also be, similar gear as fast as you can, similar masteries. So cool. Hopefully that makes sense. Sir Nicholas, the way I geared him is I needed to change his gear out quite a bit in order to do Spider 20, where I used him. So if you've seen my Spider 20 video, I already had a shield set on Sir Nicholas, but I basically just went and stacked as much HP as I could. So I had HP on everything, and I even had HP boots rather than speed boots. But I needed to go faster for Spider, so I had to switch out speed boots. And I used to have a resistance banner instead of an HP banner, so it was slightly less HP overall, but much tankier. Like hard to stun and or CC if I used him as in a defensive role in the arena. So hard to kill. That was what I was going for. And if my team survived, then he would be the slowest one on the team, and he would use a shield ability. And that's what I was going for there. So not necessarily the masteries you have to choose for Sir Nicholas. He's pretty flexible, but I ended up taking the shield buffs from the support tree. He has an ability which freezes, but it can't be resisted, so I didn't worry about accuracy as much. I was just worried about his getting as much shield as possible, which ended up being really good for the spider boss. And then stuff like War Master, also good for the spider boss. So that ended up being his purpose, and that's where his masteries ended up. And yeah, so some of the characters that are more common, let's say Tayrel here. Starting with gear. So if you're going to use Tayrel in the clan boss, you either one need a really good healer. So if you have a bad L, you might be able to get away with not having vampiric or lifesteal gear on your characters. But if not, Tayrel definitely needs to be. He's a defensive character, so he's already tanky. But the lifesteal gear helps. You need to find lifesteal gear and potentially speed to get his speed up to as close to 200 as possible. That's sort of the ideal amount. I did kind of change things up a little bit to see if I could give him a bit more damage by giving him some extra, some crit on his gloves versus defense. But in the end, I don't think that added a whole lot of damage extra to the clan boss. He's not going to be a super high damaging hero. If you get him, around 3 to 4, maybe 5 million, I think that it's pretty good for Tayrel. The defensive characters typically aren't as high damage as the attack type characters because they have the advantage of being very tanky and taking less damage. Also wanted his accuracy over 200, of course, because you don't want to miss his attack down debuff, especially on clan boss. That is the most crucial role that he has. I actually don't use him anymore because I'm using Lightsworn for the attack down debuff. The only time I use Tayrel is if it's Spirit Affinity, and I totally switch my whole team around. But you need that 203 speed, 203 accuracy, and then around 200 plus speed if you can get it. That's the kind of ideal way to gear Tayrel for clan boss. This build also works in dungeons as well. I don't use Tayrel for arena. I'd probably gear him a little bit differently. You don't need to be, even though it's a defensive hero, you don't need him to be in the defense tree. You definitely want the accuracy and debuff extending options, especially for clan boss. And if you're using him in the clan boss, you definitely want War Master. So this is actually pretty standard for the damage type or clan boss hero with a debuff versus a healer or something like that. In PvP, there's a lot of other defense talents that are good. So if your character is pure PvP based, you would go more defense. So some of the new characters that got like Longbeard, he's going to go for the sort of the debuff designer build, very similar to Tayrel. You can see the start of it there. For artifacts, I went pure speed on him. I mean, got his accuracy decently high as well. His main thing is go as fast as possible so that his Horde's Fury ability, which get down to a 4-turn cooldown. If not all your skill books go to your A1 ability. It can be very fast. You want that his A3 to happen as much as possible, which is why I went with a pure speed option. Still not fast enough. There's still lots of room for improvement on this guy. Speed's at 208, which is fast, but not like Seeker fast. Steel Skull is another one that's usually speed based. The reason I have Immortal Gear is Immortal Gear had more stats, and needed a little bit more accuracy, a little more damage maybe. I thought his speed was pretty good. He's at 132 speed, which is great. Accuracy maybe a little touch low, but he also has high crit and medium crit damage, so he actually does quite a bit of damage on the clan boss. The times when you see Steel Skull doing 8 to 10 million or more damage on the clan boss is usually when there's a poison extender, a debuff extender, and they're extending his poison ability. So you can basically keep stacking poisons every round on the boss. They just keep getting extended. Typically, Steel Skull for me on clan boss is probably in the, I'd say, maybe 3 to 6 million range, depending on the fight. He's not my main source of damage. I use him for the attack up and the heal in a lot of cases. And he'll single target heal Skull Crusher in a lot of cases in a counterattack type team. That's how I built him. For Bad L, Reflex is a great ability, just like it is for Skull Crusher. The reason it's so good is Bad L only has one cooldown, which is only a 3-turn cooldown. So you end up using this ability a lot, and if you get an extra turn cooldown with the Reflex gear, it's well worth it. Reflex gear on someone else, say like Big Un, who you probably want his Molten Slag ability to be reduced, you may get the other abilities reduced instead, like Force Charge. So it's hard to plan for Reflex working on the right ability with most heroes, but the heroes with only 2 abilities, like Bad Alcazar and Skull Crusher, it's very useful. So Skull Crusher, I took off his Reflex gear, ended up giving him Stalwart gear. It makes him maybe slightly more tanky, but definitely would prefer for Skull Crusher to have Reflex gear instead. So something to consider. Skull Crusher is a good hero because it's going to be very common in a lot of different clan boss teams, because Martyr is pretty hard to get. And this is the build I used for him because he has the allied protection buff, I guess you can call it, that absorbs damage from all the other characters and funnels it into Steel Skull while he has his invulnerable up. He often gets low, so less than 50%. Now, in a lot of my characters, I was choosing the Heart of Glory ability because I have Bad L, and the continuous heal buff is usually on most of the heroes, so oftentimes they will be at full HP. Because the heal happens right at the beginning of the turn, so even if they've taken damage from the clan boss, they heal right up with Bad L's ability, and this is basically an extra 5%. The difference is, in a lot of cases, especially if you don't have Bad L as a healer, after a big clan boss damage ability, this Grim Resolve and the Life Drinker ability will often help save you because it'll give you a big heal after you've just taken damage. So those are the 2 more common ones, but in cases where you have a Bad L, Heart of Glory, I think, is better. And then pretty much in every character with a less than 2 hit average, you get War Master. So some of the difference with him, it's a little bit of a funky support tree, because I don't really care about his healing, reduction, debuff. What I want from him is this ability right here, with a chance to extend his buffs, which is a little bit awkward, trying to work your way through the tree, because you have to make some choices that aren't as, maybe as good. Like that one. So that's probably not used for a clan boss. Cool. So hopefully that helped explain some of the heroes I have and some of the masteries I've chosen and the gear that I put on them. So if you have any more questions, definitely shoot me a message on YouTube. Let me know what heroes you're interested in seeing, either how I geared them or why I've geared them or what masteries I've chosen. So I'm going through them here just so you can get a quick view. And yeah, then there's a couple of heroes in the vault which I've also kind of geared up. Robar I still really want to work on. They've changed his stun. Tayrel I kind of geared up. Noreg I thought was Noreg and Michal, they're probably not my high use legendaries. They are currently guarding my vault, hopefully to be buffed in a future patch. So cool. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Like and subscribe, and shoot me a message if you want to see some other characters' masteries. And we will see you in the next video.